Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully y'all will have a better tomorrow. So today, I wanted us to actually just kind of go into a little bit of a discussion about Yang's semblance, and is there more to her primary ability? Now, you're probably wondering what I mean by primary ability. Well, we'll go ahead and jump right on into this, and I will talk about it in just a moment. So, sit back, relax, I hope you all enjoy, and let's get straight on into it. Now, anyways, so we've talked about Yang's semblance here before on the channel, and, as we've discussed, there have been some problems with her semblance as of late, but I wanted to kind of go into Yang's semblance a little bit more and kind of talk about, we've just seen, I feel like, just the surface of her semblance. Like, we've just kind of scratched the surface, but we haven't really jumped into everything that there is. I mean, obviously, her semblance will more than likely evolve in the future. I mean, why wouldn't it? And not only that, but I feel like there is still more to her semblance. And every single time that we've seen Yang use her semblance, it has been because she's been upset or angry about something. So, of course, she has not been able to hold her emotions very well when it comes to using her semblance, and it's usually been a last resort in the past. And, of course, as of Volume 5, things had been kind of weird with their semblance, but we've already kind of jumped into that. So, now, of course, looking at what Tai Yang even said to Yang about this is, the way she's been using it has been more of her having, I guess, a temper tantrum, kind of like a little fit, and that's been the way that she's been using it, and this has not been a productive way of using her semblance. And if you look at other huntsmen and huntresses, they use their semblance in situations of a fight that would provide help or assistance, and not because it has to be a last resort or the odds are put against them like they were with Yang in her battles that we've seen thus far. Now, we need to look at RWBY and we need to look at Weiss for a minute, because they are two prime examples of their semblances, and in situations that they've used them, they have obviously used these semblances to help out, whenever it comes to their fights or the battles that they have come into, and it's actually been within strategic manners. But what I mean by primary, ability to the semblance, now this is sounding a bit different, but what I mean by this is, we know what the ability that Yang has. Now, if we look at RWBY, we all originally believed that hers was just based off speed and speed alone, but over time we learned that it was more than just speed, but speed was the primary aspect to her semblance. Now, that's one thing to actually look at. Now, of course, RWBY's really hasn't evolved in per se the way that Weiss's has, for example, but if you actually look at it, there has been more to her semblance, like with the rose petals and her being able to create gusts of wind whenever she's using this. Now, looking at Weiss, Weiss has different abilities with her glyphs, for example. Of course, she has summoning. She also has abilities such as time dilation, and she's able to increase speed and boost herself or others. Now, of course, she has so many different things she can do with this, but it shows that there is more to her primary ability, because the summoning's obviously the evolution, but to the primary ability, there's more than just her being able to use just a glyph to, just run around fast. Obviously, it can be used in defensive matters. Now, when we look at Yang, the only thing that we've really seen when it comes to Yang is that in Volume 2, it was stated that by RWBY, is that every single time she gets hit, she gets stronger. So each time that Yang takes a hit, she does get stronger, and she's able to provide power to herself upon these hits. Now, that seems like the only thing we've seen thus far. That's kind of a problem, because let's look at this. Everybody else has seemed, or at least is seeming to have more than just one thing to their primary ability, but when it came to Yang, it's just, oh, I get punched and then I get very powerful. So there could be more to this, and each time we've seen Yang use her semblance, though, which is different in comparison to other characters as well, it's always been when she's been angry or upset about something. So is it possible that maybe whenever she isn't angry, if she were to use this, could it have a different primary effect? Now, not evolving, just regular effect. That makes me kind of wonder if, for example, when Yang uses her semblance and she's not angry, and she's just naturally using it, what if she had maybe some kind of defensive maneuver? Maybe because she could think more logically, maybe she'd be able to know when to dodge more, or maybe it would be able to help her on a defensive mechanism, and that would be very interesting to see something like that. Or maybe, since she has more of a calm mind, maybe she could use this semblance within a more useful way than having to just sit there and take the hits and then power herself up, because for her power to actually, come out of this, she has to take the hit. So maybe within her emotions, maybe her emotions trigger the differences within her semblance. Now that would be something if we had actually got to see her be within a different emotional state when she goes into her semblance, and then it activates differently. Because, like I stated, she's been angry every single time we've seen her use her semblance. So this makes you wonder if her emotional status could actually affect the flow of her semblance and then provide different effects, based upon her emotion. Like if she was happy, maybe it'd be a different effect than a power up. I mean, it could be maybe a power up, but like in a different way. Maybe there are just so many different things that we're looking at here, that could actually happen depending upon her emotional status. And that would actually be pretty interesting to see an emotion trigger her effect differently. I mean, if you look at it, the only two characters that really haven't had much done to their semblance within Team RWBY itself is Yang and Blake. I mean, they have had a bit of, just it kind of being stale and the same thing, considering that if you not just look at Yang's, but if you look at Blake's has kind of just been shadows and how she can disappear through them. Of course, over time, she's been using dust now with them, which is convenient, it's helpful, but it hasn't really changed things. And I will get to, Blake's semblance eventually, but looking at Yang, maybe there is more than, what we know right now about her semblance. And, if Yang can just use it, maybe she doesn't have control over it right now. Maybe it's an uncontrollable semblance for her. Maybe she hasn't learned how to master it yet. But anyways, maybe Yang's semblance could be activated differently depending upon what emotion she's feeling. And that would actually be a very interesting thing to see. And I would like to see more of her primary abilities and, in the future, whenever it evolves. That would be amazing. Let me know what you think down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, hit the video with a like, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and share this with your friends if you found this informative or useful. Well, anyways, I hope you have yourselves a wonderful day, everybody.